This week's episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast is proudly brought to you by Camp Chef. Camp Chef's mission is to provide a better way to cook outdoors. They empower you to cook what you want, where you want. Pizzas on the beach, brisket on the back patio, burgers at the game. There shouldn't be a limit to the possibilities. You can find high-quality cooking equipment for every kind of activity, whether you need a durable camp stove, a pellet grill, or a traditional cast iron skillet. From backcountry to back patio, they give you the power to cook what you love. Experience the durability, versatility, portability, and power of Camp Chef. Visit www.campchef.com today. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, episode 83. This week on the show, we're checking in with Ramsey Russell and Bassham as they pursue waterfowl in the land down under. Welcome to the 83rd episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. We are your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. Check us out at hpoutdoors.com. You can find our stuff all across the various social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can join our listeners group and get in there and chat with a bunch of folks listening to the show. You can also find the show across all of the various podcast catchers out there, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all the places where you can find quality podcast content. This week, we would like to thank a few companies that support this show. First is Gunner Kennels. Gunner Kennels are engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 Kennel has set a new industry standard and put Gunner Kennels in a category all its own. Gunner Kennels was started to protect your pet, and it continues to be at the center of everything that they do. Gunner Kennels are dedicated to building the best and safest pet travel crate on the market. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at www.gunnerkennels.com. We would also like to thank Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource with over 160 instructional videos, including everything that you need to take a 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for their free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. Thank you to the companies that support this show, and we encourage all of the listeners of this show to support the companies that support us. Joining me this week, as he always does, is Dan Harushka. Dan, what's up, man?
Not too much. I just saw some videos that Gunner Kennels has on their, on YouTube. I'm not sure. I assume it's on their website too, but man, that's just a great product, especially if you're, traveling with a companion in the back of your truck and have the unfortunate accident of a rollover or something of that sort. And those things really are just, they're bomb proof. So, that was pretty neat to see compared to a few other in the industry, but just wanted to mention that. And this week's a little different. We're talking to some people literally on the other side of the world, and it's really, really cool just to see how just they're hunters just like us. They deal with a lot more anti-hunter type activity where people actually come out to the swamps and cause some issues. But, it was really, really neat to talk to them and get their perspective on things, and then catch up with a few of our American buddies and see what they had going on down there.
Yeah, it was a cool opportunity for sure. And, this is one that's kind of a new deal for us here. The time difference was like 16 hours or something crazy like that. So we were able to catch them, I think, during kind of like a midday lunch on last Sunday evening. So we're recording this on Tuesday the 15th. So this was this past weekend that we were able to get with them. And unfortunately for me, the scheduling conflicts were just kind of tough. And I actually had to work on getting the current week's episode out, which is the one that we did with Big Kansas Outdoors and Ben. So I was actually working on editing that and getting that prepared to go out on Monday. So you actually were able to connect with them and record the call on your end and all that kind of stuff. So it's the first time we've really sort of had to divide and conquer, but it was also an opportunity that we didn't want to miss. We wanted to make sure that we we're able to connect with those guys down there, because it's just not every day that you have that opportunity. So, the interview is basically you and, talking to the guys down there and sort of going through, and you get an interesting perspective because there's a lot of different things kind of represented, if that makes sense, in the group that they're, you've got Ramsey and you've got Ryan, guys that have traveled all over the world to hunt. But they had guys, the guides there, they've got guys documenting the hunt, all that kind of stuff. So you get a little taste of everything sort of with this group. Yeah. And I
do apologize. It was my first time running equipment on our end. So if the audio quality is not up to snuff, I apologize. And also they were outside on speakerphone, passing the phone around. So I'm not sure exactly how in the middle of the bush it's going to come through. But nonetheless, it was great. And, got to talk to Jake a little bit down there, who I look up to in the photography and video world. He's one of a kind. And, those Aussies down there, they get after it. And, just the way that they were talking about conservation and everything they're doing down there, it's just really cool. And I do feel bad that you weren't on it, because we talked about spiders and yeah, a lot of different spiders. So
yeah, I'm really bummed out that I missed that conversation. I'll have to, do some research on my own to never go to Australia and stay away from their spiders as much as possible.
There you go.
So why don't we go ahead and get into that and put the interview on with these guys, and we'll circle back once that's done. So without further ado, here it is, Dan, on the gear for the first time flying solo with the boys down in Australia.
All right. Tonight we are getting over a little bit of duck depression and talking to a few guys that we've mentioned before or had on the show on the podcast before. So we have some gents that are hunting in Australia and making everyone jealous that is watching their Instagram updates and Facebook. So, Ramsey, we talked to you a couple weeks ago, and it's good to have you on again. How are you doing?
Yeah, Dan, it's good to be here. We say duck season somewhere, we mean everywhere. Right now, here we are in the first half of May. Duck season's been closed. I keep seeing on social media everybody's talking about duck season in 3 or 4 months. Heck, it's duck season right now in Australia. You should have seen some of the stringer to duck Ryan Bassham and I put together the last couple of days. And but real quick, because there's a lot to get into. Everybody's heard me talk before. We've got a real nice group of guys sitting here with us. I'm just going to tell you who all joining me on this thing right here. Like you heard me say the first time, one thing I really love about what I do is the people part of it, and this is no exception. And getting to show people different parts of the world. For anybody listening, go to getduck.com on Facebook. Ramsey Russell Get Duck social media on Instagram. I Get Duck is Ryan Bassham's Instagram account. He's also got a personal account. Jake Latandris, and I probably said his name wrong, is also posting some stuff up on social media. We're doing timelines and pictures. But real quickly, I'm joined today by Ryan Bassham, who is Sitka marketing and development. He also runs a company called Trophy Expeditions, which focuses on big game. He's actually going to leave us from duck hunting and go shoot some kind of deer down here. Jake Latandris, pro photographer, he's shown and much more. You can just practically see his work everywhere. He's coming down here to video document a project he and I are working on. Our hosts are Glenn Fowler. He runs Fowler's Waterfowl Outfitters. He's my partner down here. He's your host and boots on the ground for shooting a few ducks here. He was formerly with Winchester, where he was a ballistician, and he developed the best ammo I've ever shot. It's best field shot. It's a 2 3/4 inch round that does about 1,500 feet per second. Can't buy it in the States. Come on, Winchester, get it for us. And we've also got a guy named Paul Sharp. He runs a Facebook group called Cooking Game. He's the best cook in Australia. We've been eating fish for breakfast and ducks cooked bubble gum many different ways. Really good guy. He's that guy that in every hunting camp you're lucky to have, you know, because he can cook and he doesn't mind cooking. He's good at cooking and he keeps you full and happy. And he's also because of where we're hunting here in Southern Australia, he's kind of our expert. Y'all be sure to check out his Facebook page. I promise none of us know how to cook duck like this guy. The other guy we're joined by today is Trent Lee. He's the president of the Geelong Field and Game Association. He is also pioneering duck banding down this part of the world. They've got a little research lab in the wetlands, and they're starting to band a lot of ducks on. And I really kind of think that Trent is our special equipment expert on the A-team. Y'all see this trailer rig he's got. Speaking of equipment, we've got the only 2 Excel boats in the country that we're hitting all these lakes with. And but he's part of our A-team. And finally, we've got Darren Litton, who is the editor of Field and Game Australia, a very talented writer, photographer. I think he was there when the Great Wall of Russia failed or something. You know, he's been reporting down the census forever. You know, when people think of Australia, they always think of AC/DC or Olivia Newton-John, Crocodile Dundee, Steve Irwin. But I'm telling you, it's really, really amazing duck hunting. A great duck hunting tradition. The calls, the decoys, lots of birds, lots of wetlands, not much hunt. These guys talk about hunting pressure. There's no hunting pressure compared to everything we see back home. Trust me. And it's so much like home, but it's so different. It's you know, kangaroos pounding through the woodlands and pink-eared ducks, and they eat something called Vegemite on their toast. You know, save your money. Don't go for that unless you're from down here.
I saw you guys feeding that to Jake over there.
Oh yeah, we got Jake. Jake didn't know any better. We took him right into eating that. You know, we all knew better. They got Ryan the first. I just didn't get it on video. And you know, the duck season down here is the normal duck season where we're shooting 10 to 12 ducks per man per day. It's February through the end of June. But then October through December, they've got basically rice field depredation hunts north of here, and it's zero bag limit type hunting. And but you know, the last show I was on with y'all, we started talking about anti-hunters and some of the real big issues. And guys, I'm telling you, we don't deal with it. We're sitting here at ground zero. You know, they didn't know until 2 weeks before their season really opened if they were going to have a season because of the vocal minority known as anti-hunters. I posted on social media the other day. I've made a bunch of friends down here with them. They've got my picture posted up on some of these groups. But anyway, I just wanted to introduce you to everybody. And Dan, there's a lot of questions you can ask, or I can just start handing the phone off, because these are some guys you want to hear from. They can really describe this wonderful country to you.
Yeah, I think I'll talk to anyone. I was going to say, you're coming right out of Russia, right? Did you come home to the States first and then fly out there?
I was home for 58 hours, and I had to feed Mom and sleep in my bed a couple of nights before coming over here. And you know, Australia, that's one thing. Australia's a long flight. There's no shortcuts flying all the way across the Pacific Ocean from Los Angeles to get here. Fortunately, the flight was kind of empty, and I got to stretch across the benches, you know, a little bit.
Right.
And but you know, and once you're here, it's funny as everybody goes to bed. Ryan and I go to bed about 7 o'clock the first night. We're on our body clock. We wake up at 2 or 3. Our roommates don't wake up till about 6 or 7. Which brings up an interesting question. These last, you know, those pictures you've been seeing online, everybody's asking, is that ice? And it's not. It's this massive sand wetland very close to the Indian Ocean, and the ducks are flying. They're feeding on these different snails and stuff, and so we haven't even been leaving the house to go hunting until 9 in the morning.
Wow!
In daylight of hours.
So is that fresh water that you're hunting there?
Fresh water, brackish, and most of it's coming in because of the fresh water. And I would estimate, having counted ducks before, we were looking at 60 or 70,000 total waterfowl on that wetland. And we were just sampling a part of them, you know, just getting into them. And the first day was amazing. We got into a lot of Australian shell ducks. They call them honkers. And now these locals can tell you the names they've got for ducks. It's nothing like what we call them back home. I can tell you, their wood duck is totally different than ours.
Right.
And it's just an amazing. So in addition to shooting ducks, that's who don't want to shoot ducks. It's an immersive experience. We flew into Melbourne. We drove some hours to get down to South Australia, right up against the beach, and sampled one wetland. Then this morning we got up and drove a few hours. Now we're looking at this massive cattail marsh that we're fixing to go out and shoot a bunch of black ducks on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, I'm going to to Glenn Fowler and let him tell you a little bit about this country and get it started. And y'all listen carefully because he talks funny, okay?
All right.
Thanks for that, Dan. He's so funny. Having a fun.
Hey, Glenn, nice to have you.
Yeah, very good.
Good. So, I guess give us a little breakdown of where you guys are heading out here shortly and kind of what you expect to get into.
Yeah, sure. So, as Ramsey's explained, we're on the edge of a very large estuary lake. In fact, two of them that are joined by a narrow channel system through the centre, which is very, very heavy with cattail. And it's a lot like our hunting home in Victoria, where we'll be in boats this time. The boys have been doing a lot of miles in the last couple of days, lugging a lot of gear.
Right.
We're now going to for a day or two and use a couple of XL boats and push into that cattail. And hopefully if a bit of wind comes up, we'll really get bombarded by our premium game bird, the black duck here in Australia, and also quite a lot of grey teal. And whoever knows what else might turn up in the spread. So we're looking forward to getting out there, getting the dogs doing some retrieves from the boat.
Awesome, yeah. And I was looking at, a lot of the pictures that we see. That's the only thing that I can reference off of. But it looks like a lot of shallow water. It looks, windy. It almost looks like a I don't know what kind of rock, but it seems so smooth and broken down and just really wide open. So I'm kind of wondering, does that water system get deep, and kind of what are they looking at? Are they feeding there? Are these loafing type areas? Kind of what's your game plan to go find these birds? Are you getting their, like I said, their food, or what are you hitting there?
Yeah, okay. So our game plan switches up from today. That you're quite right on those shallow swamps. And they're big lakes, and they're feeding on aquatic snail. And the thing that we use to set up and make sure that the birds want to be where we are is the freshwater soak, the water that comes up from underneath the ground. And they'll go out and feed in the paddock or feed on that aquatic snail all day. And, of course, they're taking in a lot of salt water. So they're looking for a freshwater drink, and that's where we set up. But those lakes don't get any more than maybe 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep. And where we're going today is a whole different ball game. Cattail marshes that we're in, really on the edge of these open lakes that are quite a bit deeper, maybe 6 or 8 feet deep. And big waves. If you get a lot of wind, you've got to be pretty careful with your boating. Mm-hmm. But we tuck ourselves away in the cattail where there's some cover. And if you've got a windy day, they're looking for somewhere quiet to rest, because those waves can get pretty big. Those white caps keep them off the open lake, and they're looking for somewhere to sit back and just relax. And we'll be there waiting for them.
That's awesome. What a game plan, too. You get out of the wind and right where they want to be. So, when I think of Australia, I've never been there, but just from the movies like Ramsey was talking about and people, everyone always says, there's always something around the next corner that wants to kill you in Australia. And it's like, that's one of my questions watching all this, like, are there snakes around there, or like crocodiles? Like, what are you getting into, and things that you need to look out for?
Yeah, the boys around the circle here are all smiling and laughing because there's been a bit of discussion about that this week. And it wasn't until day 2 that we let the boys know that they probably should be a little bit careful where they put their hands and feet. Those salty lakes are a really good home for what we refer to as our tiger snakes. So there's been a lot of discussion about how many venomous snakes we have, and we've really only had the cold weather come in the last week here. So there's still a few snakes around. They're not as active as they were in the warmer months, but they're still around, and you've still got to watch where you're putting your gear down. And anywhere in the long grass, you want to have a good look before you sit down. That's for sure.
And so the snake is the main issue that you guys find.
Yeah, look, we talked also about the spiders because these boys are a little concerned. But look, we have some nasty spiders over here too, but not often found in the wetland. But the tiger snake does tend to hang around the wetland. They love that sort of area. They eat the frogs and all sorts of things off the wetland. And it's not uncommon here in Australia to be sitting in a boat in a wetland such as this on a warm day and have a snake actually want to hop in the boat with you.
Oh, that's great. So the main host of this podcast, Josh, he wasn't able to come on today, but he is like deathly afraid of spiders. So, I mean, even when we get in layout blinds here, like he's always double, triple checking and pretty much would rather burn something than sit in a blind that might have a spider in it. So those spiders that you're talking about, give me a little description of those, maybe the size of them, and just give Josh a good mental picture of what Australia holds.
Yeah, okay. So I guess one of the ones that we would be mainly concerned about down this part of the country is what we call our redback. Pretty easy to find. Google the redback spider. They're a fairly small spider. They have a very bright red stripe on the back, on their abdomen. And it's one of the excuses that us Australian boys use for using our hunting gear all year round. You tell the wife if you leave it laying around in the shed, you could end up with the redback in there. So, you always check your boots when you go out to the shed. You've got a pair of waders that you haven't worn for a month or so. You won't just check inside and you probably give them a bit of a spray. But, we try and use our gear regularly so they don't get a chance to get in there and make a nest.
Oh man, that's enough to creep them out. So if you do, so okay, you guys are driving like 3 hours today somewhere. We were trying to work this out, and I don't want to freak out the guys there if they are worried about spiders or anything. But what is your protocol? What's your safety protocol if something like that happens? What kind of resources do you have there?
Well, we got a pretty good bunch of guys here together, and not only do we have the best cook in Australia, but the best cook in Australia happens to be a paramedic as well. So I might let him answer that question when we hand the phone over to him. I'm not real sure whether he's got a plan or whether he depends. He's on days off, so he might not do too much at all. But we certainly sit back and take a laugh and maybe crack a beer and say our goodbyes.
Oh, geez.
I'm not sure that was the answer you're looking for, but it's probably the one you're going to get from an Australian.
Oh no, that's fine. I thought you might have been putting him on the phone, but that's no, that works. So
I can do that. Because an hour's going to go real quick. I'll pass on to Paul Sharp, who's not only our cook, but as I say, a paramedic and the local expert here in South Australia. So he's really, really put us on the mark this week, and I'm sure he's going to continue to do so. We're heading for some red gum swamp after we finish here after a couple of days. That's going to be really exciting too. We're slowly working our way back from Adelaide, back down to Victoria, down to Melbourne when the boys fly out at the end of the week. So we'll stay here a couple of days and move on, and I'll hand you on the ball.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it.
Cheers. Lovely to talk to you. G'day, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. So I guess we can talk a little food and safety, if you don't mind. So you're the cook. What's the what have you been serving up to these guys over there?
I've been mean as hell to them because I made them go out and shoot their dinner and then pushed them out in the ocean and made them catch their breakfast.
Oh, geez. So so think what you just said. How far away from the ocean are you guys?
Well, the lake's sort of, at certain times of the year, the sea does push up in there, and in some of the lakes, but you're literally within sort of 5 kilometres of it.
Okay. Nice. So, yeah, and what I was saying, about your 3 hours, and I'm not very familiar with Australia or the towns and whatnot, so I don't know if you guys have medevac kind of things, if you do get bitten by spiders, or is that something that you carry with you, or kind of your training over there for more venomous spiders and snakes that we have on this side?
We have a very fine ambulance service over here, and they actually have an excellent air retrieval service. But we're absolutely not planning on doing that. But if that actually comes up, there's provisions for that on the day.
Nice. So you're ready to go. Awesome. So what? I guess have you? Is there a big difference between the kind of ducks that you like to cook for clients or yourself, or kind of what's your go-to there?
To be honest, I'm pretty much just your average hunter guy. So I don't cook for guests or anything. This is my friend Glenn sort of said this is what's happening, so I tagged along, and it's pretty much our hunt that we would do together as friends, and that's exactly how it is.
Oh, nice.
But there is some difference, and as you would know, shell ducks are a big duck, and a lot of people sort of shy off trying to eat them because they claim that they're tough. There is ways you can do it. You can schnitzel them and whatever you'd like to do. But we were cooking a lot of the teal that the boys were shooting, and just freezing the mountain duck meat for later. But we were cooking it like stir fry, or putting it on kebabs and putting it over charcoal, and I'll let the boys they can do their own testimonials for what they thought of it. But it is absolutely delicious, I assure you. And you let the fat, and you don't have to put too much on it. The first night we really just put a bit of salt and pepper on them and let the duck fat do the thing over the coals, and they're just melting now. There's some recipes you'll find on the web page of mine that sort of links in with Ramsey and Josh and Ryan, all the rest of them. But honestly, they're absolutely delicious. We've eaten nothing but what they've caught and what they've shot the whole time they're here. And I think they'd be prepared to eat it for the rest of the week.
Oh, that's awesome. What a self-sustaining trip. You don't get any better than that. Field to plate. I know I heard that mentioned a couple times, so that's really cool.
Look, I think hunting gets a lot of pressure. It's all about the thing, but it's not. The culture is that, it's about friends. It's about having a good time. It's about the hunting. It's about filling your freezer with the way that you're supposed to do it ethically and enjoying an awesome meal at the end of the day. A few beers with mates, maybe put a spider in Josh's swag. Who knows? By the way, thanks for the information. That's going to be gold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know Josh is not a fan. I think, like I said, he'd rather burn all his equipment than take a chance of seeing a tiny little spider in there. So, just one thing that he's not a fan of, that's for sure. I don't know how he would roll if he ended up in Australia. I think he'd probably tough through it, but... So.
All right, look, I'll put it to Ramsey, and he can share it with the boys.
All right.
All right.
Hey, look, I'll add on. This guy's really cooking some good ducks. He one thing he pointed out when we first got here is we whole picked those birds, and he was breasting them, but he was breasting the ducks after we had plucked them. So he would breast them. He had this pure piece of breast meat with the fat attached, and then the skin would attach on, and we just kind of deboned the whole leg joint, but it all had the fat on it. So the kebabs and the stir fry and the different ways he's cooked duck, the flavor's in the fat. And I was real pleased to see that. That's the mark of a true chef right there, man. I'm telling you, don't breast your ducks without the fat on it. It's great. But hey, look, I want to hand the phone over to Ryan Bassham because he's done such a great job really documenting this stuff on social media, and just he can I think he can really articulate a little bit more of Australia than I can, because I've been here and what I've seen before, he's really kind of seeing for the first time, and we've had a really good time over here hunting. But I'm gonna hand the phone over to Ryan Bassham from Stickton.
All right.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Ryan, good to have you on. I know we've been trying to get you on, so you might as well go to the other end of the world and make it happen. So, yeah. So, hey, I did have one question just from your social media stuff right off the bat. Talk about the test that you had to get your license, and your thoughts on making that happen where in the United States.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. It's a requirement here by law that anybody who wants to participate in duck hunting come and do an ID test. And so they go through not only the game species that are legally able to go out and hunt, but also the non-game species. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, really, it's a pretty short test, but you definitely, especially with us not being from here, we had to do a little bit of studying to make sure we could very accurately identify those species on the fly. And so it's not like just looking at a picture of a bird and saying, oh yeah, this is a gray teal or a chestnut teal or what have you. And in fact, you're watching video of birds flying around in the marsh, and you have to be able to identify it. Not only identify the species, but then say, yeah, this is a game species or a non-game species. In order to pass that test, you have to have completed 85% of that test accurately.
Nice.
And so it's a really good thing, I think, especially with the popularity of waterfowl hunting there in the U.S. and a lot of new people coming into to what we do. I think it's fantastic that they do, but this would be something I think would be really good for everyone in pushing people to understand and be able to identify the game that they're out there harvesting. Because quite frankly, our bag limits from flyway to flyway and state to state, it's quite a bit more intricate because there's so many more species that we can hunt there in the U.S. Here, you can really only harvest 7 different species, and there it's a little bit more difficult. So it's definitely something that would be advantageous for active sportsmen.
Yeah, and my follow-up question to that, you have to be able to identify what you can shoot, what you can't shoot. I think Ramsey said 10 to 12 ducks is your daily limit. Is that about right?
Yes. So South Australia, the bag limit per man is 12. Over in Victoria, it's 10. And so there's some variances there, but it's quite generous.
Okay, so then are there any, like our mallard is, 4 or whatever it may be, is it split up per, your black ducks or chestnut teals, gray teals, or do they have limits within the overall bag limit?
12 ducks. Yeah, so there's no differences in species to species. If it's 12 mountain ducks, it's 12 mountain ducks. If it's 12 gray teals, 12 gray teals. It can be any combination thereof. So there's not, anything that dictates you can only shoot a certain amount of one particular species within that 12 bird bag limit.
Man, so that it makes more sense for us to actually do something like that here, being that you do have your limits inside the daily bag limit. But yeah, it's interesting. So tell me a little bit about your experience. Were you targeting a specific duck on your trip out there, and can you relate Australia to any place around the United States that just kind of reminds you of the same area?
That's a good question. So I told some of the boys here. I grew up watching Crocodile Dundee as a kid because that's all my grandma had to watch for me. Saturday Sound of Music. I'll say that I was more of a Crocodile Dundee man, but so I came in wide-eyed, just like anytime I go to a new country. Same as Ramsey and Jake. I'm sure you don't really know what to expect. It's all preconceived notions, and I can say that everything has far exceeded my expectation in the most wonderful way possible. It's a beautiful country. Very hospitable. Everybody's great. Food's great. It's been amazing. I haven't even left yet, and I'm already planning my next trip back. So that tells you that it's good.
That's awesome.
But as far as the area that we've hunted so far, it reminded me a lot of hunting the Great Salt Lake over in Utah.
Okay.
Very, very simple in regards to not only the terrain, but just the way the birds work. It's just a totally different type of hunting. It's very unique. When you've only got these little freshwater pockets of water, you catch those birds trading back and forth, trying to find that fresh water and get a drink throughout the day. And that's, something that's pretty unique within, waterfowl hunting and being able to pattern these birds and get on the way you want to.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I'm watching your videos and Ramsey's videos and Jake's videos and, trying to figure out how you guys are planning these hunts. And I'm like, man, they all just look like they're bunched up over there. And it just looks like they're on slate. Like, it doesn't look like they're eating anything. What's going on. So to hear that they're after the fresh water is pretty interesting there. And, I don't know. It's so cool. What else are you finding over there? Are you one of the ones that don't like spiders?
You know, I'm definitely not a fan of spiders or snakes. I don't really know who he is. If they are, they're not right in their mind, in my opinion. But, oh man, I'm focusing more on the ducks. You know, you asked a question kind of, I didn't really know what my favorite was going to be. We haven't shot any teams here yet, but they're a really cool little bird, and it's interesting here within the Australian waterfowl culture. You know, they have what they consider their quote unquote trash ducks, and I've always said there is no such thing as trash duck. I appreciate all waterfowl and what each species is, but it is funny that even this far away, you know, there's those similar nuances that we have as hunters back home that resonate here too. But you know, that Pacific black duck is something else. Beautiful bird. Those chestnut teals as well are just stunning. I mean, the photos really don't do them justice, but there's really not much to love here with the variety of species and you know, really what the birds are. It's pretty awesome.
Man, yeah. So today I'm at home and like redoing a bathroom, sitting there, you know. Also, kudos to you for your Mother's Day post for your wife. Very, very good, keeping up on that. So I saw that. I was like, all right, he's doing it right. He covered himself there. But so
I come home to a storm. You know what I mean?
I hear you. So yeah, so I was doing some base trim. Ended up, for some reason, I had a pair of Sperry boat shoes on that have like no tread, and I biffed it down about 7 stairs. And the first thing I thought of when I got up, I was like, man, those boys are over there shooting ducks, and I'm going to be talking to them tonight, and I just fell downstairs doing my honey-do list for this coming season. So I was not too happy, you know, halfway through the day, but this is a treat getting to talk to you guys, and especially when you about half an hour going to kill more ducks. So,
well, man, I appreciate you, you know, letting us come on and talk with you. You know, what's really cool is the fact that we have Jake Papandres here as well, and I mean, in his own right, he's been somebody I've looked up to and admired as a creator for a long time. He's very well traveled the world doing everything. I mean, you name it, from, you know, Hungai and Altai Argali in Mongolia, stone sheep and British Columbia and waterfowl all over the world. This guy's pretty much seen and done it all. Really unique perspective on, you know, as the waterfowl community and within the hunting industry, what he gets to do and see and experience. He's a traveling cameraman, and he's pretty incredible at what he does. But I think it would be advantageous to definitely let you chat with him a little bit.
Yeah, throw him on.
Questions, you know, pursuit of what he does, and yeah, man, you'll enjoy talking to him.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for the time, and good luck the rest of your trip. And what do you? I guess what I still got you. What are you going for once you leave there? You're doing a big game hunt.
Yeah, so I'm going for after a sandbar deer. You know, I'm headed back over to the state of Victoria. Going to go up into the high country, and we'll see if we can get on a stag and do a bit of spot and stock, and you know, see if we can't get lucky.
Awesome. Well, good luck, man, and I'll be watching all your updates on that too. So, good luck. Stay safe, awesome. And I appreciate the time.
All right, cheers, mate.
Hey, bud, how's it going? This is Jake Papandres.
Jake, how are you? So for anyone that doesn't know Jake, you need to know Jake. You need to follow his outdoor stuff. He has now I guess, you guys, it's kind of a podcast. It's not on iTunes, but you guys are doing a video series, the Outdoor Cameraman Experience. If you want to get into taking pictures or taking video or anything, Jake and Jess DiLorenzo, two of the top in the game right now. You need to follow this guy. So, Jake, thanks for coming on. I know you're not shy to the camera or the microphone anymore, so I appreciate the time. And I guess I'll start out asking you, since you get to document everything, who misses more, Ryan or Ramsey?
I haven't been here long. I haven't been here long enough to assess that accurately, but that gives me some ideas about social media when I get back.
Oh, that's funny. I figured, if you're behind the camera, you're looking for some kill shots, and not seen it.
You're very perceptive. Those are some of the things that I do pick out. And with my headset on and a microphone in their face, I always get to listen in on some pretty interesting conversations too. So it's always entertaining being a cameraman for sure.
And I know, one of my favorite videos of yours is that bear hunt that just sends shivers up my spine every time I watch it. But, tell me a little bit. Have you been to Australia before? Is it, I guess start out with that. Have you been there before? And, does this remind you of Salt Lake as well? I'm sure that you've been through Utah a time or two.
Yeah, I've hunted the Great Salt Lake, and we talked about that yesterday, and it's very, very similar. The location we were at yesterday was very similar to the Great Lake, hunting in that the water's shallow. Even the wind, pushed the water out from the shoreline when we had a wind coming over our shoulder, and it was just very similar. But some of the photos and videos that I've seen, looking forward to the next locations we're going to go to, remind me a lot of. In fact, the people here remind me a lot of South Louisiana, the marsh down there, the open marsh. They hide in the reeds, the cattails, and even the cuisine, that the seriousness at which they take their waterfowl to the cooking table. So, and then they got a variation of flooded timber in the red eucalyptus timber, which looks extremely interesting. So, I came here looking for differences in how I was going to, pull these stories out of the hunt. And to my surprise, when I'm really seeing it, are similarities. I mean, these people are hardcore waterfowlers. They take it very seriously. They take their species, their conservation, their management, all that very, very seriously. So, I think some of the stories that are going to come out of this are going to be more similarities to American hunting than differences.
Nice. So, and one thing I was thinking too, when you're heading over there, how do you travel? Do you ever have any trouble taking all of your equipment with you, and electronics and whatnot? And I know I'm just thinking, oh, here's a very expensive camera. It's staying on my side. I'm sure you don't check the red, or maybe you do. Maybe you're confident enough to do that, but just kind of, I guess, how do you go about that? And have you ever had any troubles with all the travels that you do?
Yeah, there's always logistical issues. The number one thing is probably weight, because all the batteries and cameras and lenses, they all weigh a lot of, they weigh a lot. So, I typically travel, if I'm on a solo assignment, I typically travel with one Pelican case, a 1510, and then a backpack. And I just stuff everything in there as tight and neat and safe as I can. And I always carry that on. And then I leave the tripod, and I actually carry a drone with me, even internationally. I have one down here now. And I put that into my check bag, hoping that it just gets here, and that if it doesn't, then I'll just have to do without. I've had equipment stolen and baggage handling before, so I have a really good insurance policy on all of my equipment. But that was one time. That was about 12 years ago, and hasn't happened again. And knock on wood, everything got here safely. So I just keep doing what I do, and go from one spot to the next.
Man, that's awesome. So, I guess you pretty much covered what I had to ask. Just what you thought it was close to, and you're talking southern Louisiana. And now, are they letting you get in front of the camera at all? Do you get to pull the trigger?
A lot of head nodding inside the side. But, we're actually here for a fairly short stint. So, and to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter to me if I pull the trigger or not, because the experience is the same for me, and the value of my presence is the fact that I get to capture everything forever. And so I take that very seriously. I don't even really, mind not getting to pull the trigger. as long as I'm filming and taking photos, then I'm extremely happy with, my assignment, my purpose here. So, yeah, it's all good, man.
Yeah, and that it's funny because a lot of people, they just don't understand the feeling you get when you snap that picture, get that video clip. That really, even if you are on an assignment, like, it means something to you when you really do something special in your own eyes, and you know that you meant to do it, and it just works out. So some people, how can you not even want to pick up a gun anymore? That kind of comment. It's like, it gets a little deeper than that, and I find myself, my camera's getting a lot closer every hunt I go on, it seems like. So, it's really cool, and I appreciate, everything you do and put up on social media, and especially the outdoor cameraman, what you got going on, and really teaching people. I mean, it's really special to be out and helping like that. So.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me and everyone else on here. I'm going to transition back to Ramsey and let him introduce the last two guests. So here's Ramsey.
All right, thank you.
We ain't got much longer because as Jake was talking about 20 black ducks slid down the bank, and we all heard them flash at it. There goes pair right there. We're seeing black ducks starting to fly around, and boy, you love all these different species. But when I came here last year, I wanted to get my hands on the mountain ducks, the pink-eared ducks, the different species. But at the end of the day, it was that darn Pacific black duck because they quack like mallards, they act like mallards. This red gum swamp we're talking about, just think Arkansas green timber on steroids.
No.
These giant, massive, ancient trees with ducks coming in through the trees. Today they're going to be rounding the corner. I see the wind picking up. They're going to be coming off the big water and coming into the cattail holes. And we'll be quacking to them and chattering to them real lightly and getting them right into the mojo decoys or not. Depending on how deep the water is. But anyway, we've got a couple more guys I think could shed some light on just kind of paint the picture of hunting in Australia.
Okay.
I'm gonna hand the phone over to Wayne. He of course grew up in Australia. And one thing I'll tell you, just get some backdrop on this. Glenn Fowler and Trent Lean and I, we all met on an Arkansas duck hunt. That's how we all got to know each other and start. This whole thing started was us duck hunting in a duck blind in Arkansas. And it wasn't just one of these fat duck hunts. It was a great duck hunt. I think we ended up freaking out of limit, but just a typical duck hunt where you got a lot of time in between volleys to visit and talk, and we just realized a lot of similarities, and just want to duck hunt more together. Remember last time I was talking about you can put people from all over the world and all walks of life into the duck blind. Money and politics and race and religion doesn't matter. It's all just, we're all duck hunters. That's kind of how it felt. And incidentally, we were in Arkansas. We walked into this little old bitty cafe with maybe 8 seats in the table, and they were looking at the menu. I could see their heads swimming. And they could barely read English. And I said, no, don't worry, I'll order for you. So I ordered some, chicken fried, blue plate special, chicken fried steak, turnip greens, fried okra. They licked their plate clean, and it didn't matter if they didn't know anybody. They were sitting there licking the plate clean. Finally, I never forget Glenn going, what is this? I go, it's chicken fried steak. He goes, but it's not chicken. I go, no, it's not chicken. He goes, well, what part of it is chicken? And I go, it's chicken fried steak. And they still don't have their mind wrapped around it. But they love it. I guarantee you they come back and eat it. Anyway, I'm gonna hand the phone over to Trent Lane, and he can just describe some stuff, some of the banding activities, some of the things they've got going on later.
All right.
Hey, how are you?
Trent, doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, really well. We're just moved to a new location and getting ready to go out for another hunt. But a lot of the work we've been working on of late, we've been working with Professor Marcel from Beacon University on the Aviana bird flu. Okay. And we've been sampling dust, and the byproduct of that has been the fact that we get to ban them as well after we've stuffed them. We also provide him with dead bird samples. So we're in the vicinity of, in the last 2 years, we've provided him 500 dead bird samples. And I think we're up to around 200 in our trapping programs as well. So, which I know it doesn't sound a lot, the numbers that you guys found over there, that
every bird that we get, we measure, we weigh, we take bloods. Well, Professor Marcel does take bloods, and we band it. So it does take quite a while to get through all that. But we also had a really interesting finding come out of our dead bird samples that we provided last year, and we actually had the first samples for the SARS virus ever found in Australia. So that was something that was sort of kind of good to be a part of, I guess.
Yeah, so that's interesting. How long have you been taking samples of the dead birds?
The dead birds, this will be our second year.
The second year. So that's interesting. And we have a podcast coming out either later tonight, usually Monday mornings or when they release, and we have a guide on there from Kansas, and he said, the one thing I'm really worried about is something like avian flu coming and just taking out just thousands of birds, and then I'm out of a job. So it's interesting that that's coming out tomorrow, and you guys are doing a lot of samples like that. Do you see, I guess, and you said you had 200 banded birds this past year, or so far this year?
Yes, in total for the last 2 years. Yeah.
The total last 2 years, and I assume that you're on the end of getting reports of banded birds too? As far as if someone shoots a banded bird or something, do you get those call-ins or the data?
We've had 2 birds that have been shot. Both have been approximately 300 kilometres away from the trapping site. Our birds, we don't have the flyways like you guys have with the way they come down south. So our birds are more nomadic. We are the driest continent on Earth, so they really do support us. So if we have big floods up in northern Queensland, our birds will just up and go. We don't know how or why they know, but they go. So, and when it rains back down south again, they just turn up. So we'd really like to know how. We may never know, but it's been really good to be part of the studies for the virus. Like you said, it's really interesting stuff. I mean, they take those viruses. The whole idea behind it is to, they're basically taking that virus, trying to mutate that virus and develop a vaccine before it actually does naturally. So if there was an event where there was a breakout, they hopefully already developed the vaccine for it. So really exciting stuff to be part of. We've grown this. We've got 3 trapping sites now. One of them at our wetland centre, the Connery Wetland Centre, that the Wetland Environmental Task Force has purchased, and Longfield and Game in conjunction with them have built the wetland centre on there. That's approximately a 90-acre wetland, and now that's forever in trust for generations to ensure that we've got that land there for conservation.
Nice.
Hunting.
So I kind of have 2 follow-up questions here. One, I guess, is there a way that you can search for if any banded birds have been shot in Australia that have came from United States or Canada? And then 2, what are your systems for trapping over there? Do you have any, is it a net system, or kind of how do you guys go about collecting your birds for banding?
Okay, so to my knowledge, we haven't captured any birds with international bands on them. So the 2 returns that have been from our banding programs, and there's, to my knowledge, it's all registered with the Commonwealth. And the details go back to the bander. So in this case, it was Professor Marcel. So he's registered with the Commonwealth, and on the band, obviously contact them, and then it comes back to Marcel. So that sort of gives, we know when one's been returned, and the trapping methods that we've been using, we've just got basically funnel traps. So I've got a feeder set up, so I feed out morning and night, and on the trapping nights when we've got good numbers, we'll chop the traps up. We've all had to do animal ethics to assist, so we can actually assist RFL, and therefore we can actually help in the handling of the birds. This is it's taken a lot of people to get their head around the fact that, hunters could be involved with something like this.
Right.
We were always fighting the battle down here with the antis, as Ramsey mentioned earlier. But just generally, we see ourselves as, hunters of the first conservationists. And I think that's the message we need to get out to the general public. And it takes, let's say, some of these intellectual types a little bit to understand, well, why would you be getting hunters to assist you with these sort of programs? And we've done everything we can, to assist Marcel with his programs, and he's showing great guns. And after the first year of providing them with the dead bird samples, which was something obviously very hard for them to get through their head, that that we're actually killing these birds and providing samples, but we're not hunting them to provide the samples. We're hunting them for the table. We're hunting them for creating some of the wonderful dishes the boys make, and we're just sampling them as a byproduct of that, trying to help do our bit. So, but last trapping we did some mist nets as well. So we caught some other mud larks and inches and stuff like that. So it's not just based around ducks, and there's other things that we catch as well, which is interesting for us to get involved in as well.
Nice. And did Ramsey say that you were one of the ones down in Louisiana where you guys met?
Yeah. We were in down at Arkansas. Yep.
So is that okay? Arkansas, sorry. So is that I guess what do you like about the United States versus Australia, and what do you like better about your homeland versus my homeland in hunting regards?
I could go to similarities. So with the same things that we found. I mean, you guys, we can watch a lot more still hunting than you can of ours. We travelled 5 states, so we got to see a lot of different from hunt clubs to the big commercial outfitters. So we got to experience a lot of things over there. But basically the culture is all the same. You're duck hunters. You're a hunter, and it's the same. I've found from America to Australia, that the respect for the quarry, and that respect carries through the utilisation of the meat through the table, and the water's the same. The ducks are the same, whether different species, but hunting styles. Like we can go from we're over in South Australia at the moment. Paul's our resident over here who's pointing us in the right direction, and every area's got its uniquely different hunting styles, and you learn something every time you go somewhere, and it's like everything. What works somewhere today, mightn't work somewhere tomorrow. It's just a tool that you remember everywhere you go. You pick up something from the locals, and you just keep that in the back of your mind to try on a tough day. So I guess it's the waterfowl. It's not just one country; it's an international thing, and I do hope to get around some other countries to experience it. The similarities between Australia and America were very similar, but I guess in a way uniquely different sometimes.
Right. Well, hey, I appreciate the time, and keep up the good work on the banding and conservation. And I'm sure that it's difficult to just be starting that and have people understand what you're trying to do while you're still out, harvesting these birds and trying to get that across that it's all combined. So.
Hello, Dan. Darren Lincoln here, and I'm the editor of Food and Game magazine. So I thought perhaps the best place to start was a little bit about the organisation. So Food and Game is a duck hunter organisation. It's the biggest in Australia, representing around 19,000 duck hunters. So I'm like Jake. I have a camera and a notebook and a pen, and we'll travel anywhere and find myself in hunting camps all over the place. Never behind the trigger, always behind the shutter release.
Nice. And you're from what part of Australia are you from? Did you say?
I'm from Shepparton, which is in northern Victoria. So it was about a 6.5, 7 hour drive for me to get to where we've set up
today. And it's not unusual, to travel 7 or 8 hours to get to a camp somewhere. But one of the good things about duck camps in Australia, I guess, is duck camps anywhere around the world, is you walk in and, you're offered some food and you're offered a drink and a place to throw down a swag. And you're always with great people. So Glenn is with Field and Game, Trent's with Field and Game, Paul's with Field and Game. And so amongst those 19,000 members, it's just one big community, and there's a real ethos of helping out, visiting hunters, and showing them around. And Ramsey mentioned, the anti-hunting fraternity, which we battle all the time. One of the things, particularly the Victorian government is very interested in, is expanding hunter tourism, so inbound tourism into Australia for people to go and see Kakadu or go to Uluru and see the Rock, or the Great Barrier Reef is fantastic. But there's a chance to grow inbound tourism for hunting, and specifically for duck hunting, but also for deer and for bigger beasts up in the territory. So one of the things that does from our point of view, we are a dedicated lot, but we're very much a minority in the wider Australian population. That economic activity, that economic stimulus helps to support the case for continued hunting in Australia. Ramsey, will agree that there's great opportunity for hunting in Australia. Public land access is really good. You can, and in Victoria alone, Field and Game was an organisation back in 1958, partnered with the state government. The Premier of the state happened to be a really keen duck hunter from Kerrang, and one of the biggest duck hunting regions. And they put aside around 200 state game reserves, which they exist primarily for hunting, and it's about 75,000 hectares of various sized swamps and wetlands. So, wow. Hunting access is really quite easy across Australia. And that's, if you can get access and you've got good people to support you, you'll have a great hunting experience. So all I could say to your predominantly North American listeners is come on down and have a great time, because you'll not only have a great experience and some great hunting, but you're actually supporting the hunting culture and the future of hunting in Australia by doing so.
Yeah, and extending your season. And I was wondering, do you? I guess when we're talking about anti-hunting, are there a lot of people that actually get out, get in the field and actually harass people? Is there much of that goes on there?
Yeah, it tends to be concentrated around the opening weekend, and then only on a limited number of wetlands. And it's purely a grab for publicity and for headlines. So, the wetland I was on opening weekend, hunters chose predominantly to stay away. So there might have been 70 or 80 hunters across the two main wetlands, and there were 170 protesters. And by the Sunday afternoon, they've all gone back to their to sipping their lattes, and
So they make a stink for an hour or two, and then they head out.
Yeah. So Ramsey's really keen to meet a few of them on a wetland. But he hasn't had the pleasure as yet. But he's making friends with them online. Look, they're pretty active on social media, and they're running some TV commercials at the moment in regional Victoria, which are quite derogatory and make all sorts of spurious claims about hunters and the way hunters go about their business. And we're trying to have those ads pulled from TV at the moment. We've lodged a complaint, but so I think we're doing okay in terms of fighting it, but it's not going away. There are a small number of people who are just ethically opposed to hunting, and they're not going to change what view, no matter how much we tell them about. But what my job is, and Field and Game's job, is to tell the real story of hunting, and particularly the real story of hunters as conservationists, which our history of that goes back 60 years.
Yeah, and if those stories never make it out, then there's absolutely zero chance of changing anyone's minds or even, swaying them into knowing that hunting is okay. So, Yeah, that's crazy. And I'm sitting here. I think we're at about almost an hour here, and I can't. I don't know if Ryan went live on Instagram or anything, but I just have a feeling that everyone's starting to get their waders on in the background. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
So anyway, coming into the air, I'll pass it back to Reds, not the tip.
All right, thank you.
Man, we appreciate you. I hope that gives everybody a real good feel for Australia. It's worlds apart. It's a long way from home, but it's such a great place. I'm just going to touch on one thing. You remember how limited it seems like increasingly that public land is back home in the country, and they've got so much quality habitat down here. It's truly unbelievable. The quality of hunting, the quality of people, how similar it is to the States, but they've got so much area to hunt down here. It's unbelievable. We were hunting a red gum swamp last year, shot, straps of black ducks and gray teal there in the flooded timber. And Glenn, he said, I couldn't believe it. It's 1,000-acre public land, flooded timber. We hunted for 2 days in a row and never saw another hunter. And he said, well, I don't see the big deal. I'm like, he said, what would it be like in Mississippi? I said, we'd have gotten here at 10 o'clock last night. At 6 o'clock in the morning, 15 minutes before shooting time, 50 people would have come in within 100 yards of it. But we had the whole place to ourselves. In fact, I don't think I hadn't heard another gunshot since I've been here. Ryan and I, neither one, we've had a place to ourselves. It's just the quality of hunting down here. But you're right. It is wrapped up to about the hour, and we do have a lake full of ducks to
go get after. Hey, I had one more question for you. I had one more question for you, and it's just more around the world. But does anyone around the world still hunt with lead?
Yes. Did you say do they hunt with lead?
Yeah, lead shot.
Yeah. A lot of people do. Netherlands, America, Canada, and Australia hunt with steel shot, and everybody else shoots with lead.
Okay.
And it works as good now as it did back in the 70s. I can tell you that. It
sure.
the duck. So we shoot it down in Australia. We shoot it not in Australia. We shoot it down in Argentina. We shoot it down in Mexico, Azerbaijan, Pakistan. We shoot lead in a lot of different places, and it's interesting to me. I can remember in waterfowl ecology and management back in grad school. Some of the necropsy studies were really pretty amazing what a single lead shot pellet would do to some of those ducks that were force fed it during captivity. But at the same time, I don't see it. There's so many birds out in those wetlands, and apparently aren't experiencing lead toxicity. Okay, so I don't know. I just but we're shooting steel shot here. And, come on, man. Steel shot has come so far since the early 90s when they first came out with it. I see absolutely, it's a very effective means of ethically killing ducks to 40 yards anyway.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone can argue that. I just knew that was something that after last time we talked, I was like, that's a guy to ask, about that question. So
yeah, that's a good question. And but anyway, Dan, I appreciate your time. We've all enjoyed it, and we really do got to go get out on the water.
Well, hey, good luck. Stay safe. Stay away from the spiders and the snakes, and I'll keep following you boys. So, shoot straight. And Jake, make sure you tell us who misses more by the end of the trip, man.
I will. Thank you, Dan.
All right. Hey, thanks. Take care.
All right, Dan. Well, how do you feel? First time doing it on your own, getting that under your belt. How do you feel about your effort there?
I think I held I held my own, but it was like you said, it's an opportunity that we just couldn't pass up. So it's kind of throwing me to the wolves a little bit because that's like an A team down there. So I had to do it. I hope it wasn't too bad on the listener's end, and just the things that they explain, and every time you talk to Ramsey, and he just paints a picture for you. So the duck depression continues, and they said they were doing it to kind of help us through that, and just the beautiful birds. I don't know if that really did it, because now I just want to go out to the swamp and get set up, and it's still a ways away. So, but yeah, it was a great conversation. great guys. I appreciate the opportunity, and that's about it, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, and we do need to thank Ramsey and the guys, because he actually reached out to us and suggested that we do it, and we didn't even know or realize that was going to be something. So it kind of was a cool opportunity that kind of came to us, and we didn't want to miss it. So thanks to those guys and their flexibility and their willingness to spend a few minutes with us and allow us to kind of get the information out to you guys as listeners. And they did a great job. Ryan had a lot of, and Ramsey as well, had videos on Instagram during the interview and stuff, and all that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. And while I was editing, sitting on the laptop, I was able to see how things were going, and looked like everything was going all right. So proud of you for flying solo for the first time. And I think you did fine, and probably have a new appreciation now for all the different moving parts that kind of go on with it a little bit. But
yeah, I think my the next thing will be actually editing and going through that whole thing. So I don't know. I think
baby steps here.
I think we're a couple years away from that, but
yeah, maybe 4 more years, right? Something like that. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We always enjoy, getting opportunities to chat with guys like that, and, enjoy some of the cool stuff that they've got going, even if it is kind of vicariously through them. It's still a neat opportunity. What do you think, Dan? Anything else that you want to add to this week's episode before we wrap it up?
I mean, we did record that on Mother's Day, and it's coming out a little bit late, but, I think every day should be Mother's Day, and for our wives or moms or grandmas, whatever. I mean, they put it on the line every day and do an excellent job that most men can't do. So cheers to them, and, cheers to all the people listening down under. We appreciate you all.
Yep, absolutely. And a couple more things, just kind of housekeeping wise. Be sure, if you've not had a chance to order your HP Outdoors swag, we got some hats still available on our website. You can check that out. We're working on getting our decals and hopefully expanding that a little bit with some different options. Hopefully get that up there soon for you guys. And also would like to thank the sponsors of this week's show, Camp Chef, Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, and Gunner Kennels. Thank you to them, and please support the companies that support us. They are truly great partners and have been incredibly supportive of what we've got going on, so we can't thank them enough. And with that, Dan, I think that's going to do it, and let's put a bow on this one. All right, that wraps it up for episode 83 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. Make sure you check us out on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast content, and get caught up on all the past episodes. For y'all that use Apple, if you haven't had a chance, we do appreciate 5-star ratings and reviews. It helps other hunters just like you find our show. So hopefully enjoy this week's chat from the land down under. We will be back next week with a brand new show, brand new content. So until then, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.